Okay, good afternoon, grade 12s. Today what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the Mapwork calculations. I think most of the learners in grade 12, they struggle with Mapwork. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I need to show you the type of maps that we have. I need to show you the type of maps that we have. We have topographical map. I think you can see it's in color. Then we also have what we call an orthophoto map. How do you differentiate the two maps? The first thing that you do is you look at the scale. I think if you can look at the top here, there is the scale which is a ratio scale, which is 1:50,000 centimeters, which means 1 centimeter on the map represents 50,000 centimeters on the actual ground. If you also check the scale of the orthophoto map, you can see here at the top right corner, it's 1 centimeter on the map represent 10,000 centimeters on the actual ground. You can also check here at the bottom where you've got your line scale. It shows you the contour interval, which means the difference between the two contour lines that shows the height above sea level is 20 meters on a topographical map, and on your orthophoto map it's 5 meters. So these are the two aspects that can help you to differentiate or to be able to identify a topographical and an orthophoto map. So when you look at our maps now, we basically look at two things. The first thing I have highlighted already is your scale. So under scale, what is it that you should pay attention on? There are basically three types of scale. We have got a line scale, then a ratio scale, and a weight scale. So when we go back to our map, you will find that this is what we refer to as the line scale. As you can see, it's a line scale here at the bottom of your topographical map. You also have a line scale at the bottom of your orthophoto map. That's one type of a scale. Then we have got what we call a ratio scale. A ratio scale, you can also find it on a topographical map. Like for example, here is 1 centimeter on the map represents 50,000 centimeters on the actual ground. On your orthophoto map, is 1 centimeter on the map represents 10,000 centimeters on the actual ground. Then lastly, we have got what you call a weight scale. Weight scale, you can change your ratio scale into your weight scale. How do you do it? Your weight scale is more descriptive, like 1 centimeter on the map represents 50,000 centimeters on the actual ground. So that gives you your weight scale. So you should know that when it comes to maps, we basically have three types of map, three types of scale, that is your line, ratio, and your weight scale. Then I already talked about the contour interval. That is what you have as a contour interval on the topographical map. That is the 20 meters that you find here at the bottom of your line scale. Then you also have 5 meters that you find at the bottom of your orthophoto map. Then the next thing, before you start with the calculations, now that you are aware of the scale, you are also aware of the contour interval. You move on to what we call the map conversions. Map conversions, you can be asked to calculate and give your answer in centimeters, kilometers, or in meters. What is it that you need to know? You have to make sure that you convert, the moment you get your question paper, make sure that you convert it into meters and kilometers. This makes it easier for you when you are doing your calculations. Like for instance, you can see when it comes to a topographical map, I've already shown you what a topographical map look like. 1 centimeter on the map represents 50,000 centimeters on the actual ground, which is what we are seeing on this map. You can see this is a topographical map. 1 centimeter on the map represents 50,000 centimeters. Same applies with your orthophoto. 1 centimeter on the map represents 10,000 centimeters on the actual ground. So how do you convert your maps now? We want to make sure that when we are calculating distance, area, or whatever calculations that we are doing, we'll know the units and the numbers to use. So here on the topographical map, 1 centimeters to 50,000 centimeters. If you want to convert into meters, you're looking at how many centimeters are in a meter. How many centimeters is 100? So it means you divide the 50,000 by 100. That's how we got this 500 meters. So now it's still the same scale now, but it has been converted into meters. So this is 1 centimeter on the map represents 500 meters. Same applies. You also convert it into kilometers. That is how many centimeters are in a kilometer, which is about 100,000. So you divide the 50,000 divided by 100,000. That's how you got the 0.5 kilometers. So when you convert your map now, you know that 1 centimeter is equivalent to 50,000. Here is 500, here is 0.5 kilometers. Same applies with your orthophoto map. You do the same thing. 1 centimeter on the map represents 10,000 centimeters on the actual ground. If you convert it into meters, it becomes 1 centimeter representing 100 meters on the actual ground. Into kilometers, you can see as well, is 1 centimeter on the map represents 0.1 kilometers on the actual ground. So this is very important. This is very important, especially when you get your map. As soon as you get your map, do the map conversions. It helps you to know which unit and also scale to use when you are doing your calculations. Okay, basically when we are talking about the scale, we are looking at the relationship between the distance on the map and the distance on the actual ground. So when you're looking at this as an example of the scale of a topographical map, we are saying 1 centimeter on the map represents 50,000 centimeters on the actual ground. So that is the relationship that we are looking at whenever we talk about the scale. Okay, let's move on to your calculation of distance. So when you are calculating distance, now, the first thing that you need to know is how do you calculate your distance? How do you calculate your distance? Your distance is equal to map distance multiplied by scale. This is your formula for calculating distance. You have got your map distance multiplied by scale. But before we move on to calculations, there's something that you need to know. When it comes to distance, we basically have two types of distance. We have got what we call direct distance. We have what we call direct distance and indirect distance. Okay, what is the difference between the two? When you talk about the direct distance, you are measuring a straight line distance. You are measuring a straight line what? Distance. This is what we refer to as direct distance. Like for example, you can be asked to measure the distance between spot at 113, you can come a little bit closer, spot at 113 and spot at 112. You can be asked to measure the distance between the two, which means the only thing that you need to do is to connect the 2 points. I'm just going to connect it here. Okay, then you use your ruler to measure the distance. In this instance, you can see from 1 up to about, let me just do it in centimeters, from here up to there, which is about more or less 19 centimeters. So here, I'm measuring a straight line distance between 2 given points. But I'm assuming that you are doing this on your map because obviously that's where you're going to do it. So this is a direct distance between these 2 points. So that's direct distance for you. When you talk about indirect distance, this is now the distance. Normally it can be of a road or of a river. This distance is not straight. It meanders, it twists and turns, which means you can be asked to measure, let's say, from A to B. It can be a road, it can be a river that meanders. So what you need to do now, you need to make use of a string. You can use a string, not used to you do not have to use a ruler. This one you need to use a string, or you can use a paper. Let me just get one paper just to demonstrate. Like for example, you have got this paper. So how do you do it? You go where it starts. Let me just make it up to here. Okay. You go where it starts, you mark where it starts, then you mark there, then you twist it, you mark there, you twist it again, you mark there, then you twist and go where it ends. So it means this is not a straight line, distance is indirect, but I have marked it on my piece of paper. So what I'll do next is I'll take my ruler. After taking my ruler, then I'll measure with the ruler, and I have something like, as you can see, it's around 23.5, but I'll use 23 centimeters. So if I'm to measure the indirect distance between A and B, I have got here on my ruler 23 centimeters. So it means I'll go back to the formula. What does it say? Map distance multiplied by scale. So my distance is equal to map distance multiplied by scale. So what is my distance? My map distance, this is what I measured from A to B, which is 23 centimeters multiplied by. If I am using the map, this is a topographical map. If I'm using a topographical map, assuming that my answer is supposed to be in meters, okay? If my answer is supposed to be in meters, which means I'm going to multiply my map distance multiplied I have already converted my scale into meters here by 500 because my answer is supposed to be in meters. So 23 by 5, 23 by 5, let me just do 23 by 5, 23 by 500, we just calculate using my calculator there. 23 by 5. Okay, let me just give my calculator. 23 by 5.
Dad, I have it. Papa.
23 by 5. So I'm going to use my calculator to do that. 23, that is your 23 multiplied by 500 meters. I'll get something like 11,500. I'll get 11,500 what? Meters. Remember, this is very important. From the formula, your map distance, make sure you write the correct units of measurement, and also the scale that you're using, make the right correct unit of measurement, and also your answer, the correct unit of measurement. If you just write it as 23 multiplied by 500, then it's wrong. Make sure you write the correct unit of measurement. If, let's say, I'm supposed to write my answer in kilometers, I'll do the same thing as well. I've got my my distance. Distance is equal to 23 centimeters multiplied by. Now that I'm calculating, I need to write my answer in kilometers, which means I'm using now 0.5 kilometers. You see the importance of converting the scale. So I'm going to use 0.5 kilometers. Take note, this is important, this is important. Okay, 23 multiplied by 0.5 is equal to 11.5, which means I'll have 11.5 what? Kilometers. So this is all very important. Whenever you are calculating your distance, make sure that you use the correct units of measurement. Make sure before you start with your calculations, you convert all your maps. The first thing, 1 is to 50,000, convert it to meters and to kilometers as well. Convert it to meters and kilometers as well. This is very important because it helps you, especially when you are doing your calculations. You know that, okay, what exactly to use. Okay, that is calculation of distance and also map conversions. Okay, then the next thing is area. You can also be asked to calculate area. You can also be asked to calculate area. You can also be asked to calculate area. Let me rub off this. When you are calculating area, it's very easy. What is it that you must know when you are calculating area? The first thing, you need to know your formula. When you are calculating area, you need to know your formula is length times your breadth. But however, normally in your question papers, you are given as length and spread. But you multiply your length times your scale times your breadth times your scale. Assuming that, okay, we are going to be, a question asks you to calculate the area of the red box, which shows the area covered by the orthophoto map on your topographical map. So it means now, what is it that you're going to do? The first thing you are going to measure, the red box. I think starting from there, you're going to get something like 3.9 centimeters. Then we also have 3.3. So the longest side becomes your length. So it means you are going to say 3.9 centimeters. Remember, your answer is supposed to be in square meters. In this instance, it's supposed to be square meters. So your 3.9, you multiply by the scale you have already converted, which means you are multiplying by 500 meters. Multiply by what is your breadth? Remember, we said the shortest side is 3.3. It is 3.3 centimeters multiplied by 500 as well. So we are now going to do our calculations now. 3.9 multiplied by 500. What is the answer? It's 1,950 meters multiplied by 3.3. 3.3 multiplied by 500 is 1,650. 1,650. Okay, remember both are in meters. Then you have to multiply these two now your 1,950 meters multiplied by 1,650 meters. I'm going to use my calculator to do that. 1,950 multiplied by 1,650. We are going to get, remember the answer is supposed to be in square meters. We get 3,217,500. This is in square meters. This is in square meters. How did we get to this answer? Remember we measured the area that is covered by the orthophoto on our topographical map. We got 3.9, that is our length. Then we got 3.3, that is our breadth. Then coming back to the formula, your area is equal to length times breadth, which is length times scale times breadth times scale. So these are the numbers that you have. So you need to make sure that this is correct, and also these two are correct from there. This one and this one and this one, which means for each and every stage you get a mark. So you can be asked to calculate your area and give your answer in square meters or in square kilometers. You only need to know now what to use when you are doing your calculations. If it is in square meters, which means you are going to use this. If it is in the square meters, this, in square kilometers, use this. You can also be given a question where they ask you to calculate the area of the outline of the orthophoto map. You can come close. The area of the outline of the orthophoto map. When they say the area of the outline of the orthophoto map, which means this is what they want. This is what they want. Which means I'm going to do my calculations. Let me see. I've got 21 centimeters or 210 millimeters. I also have from this side, let me see, I have got 19. Okay. So I have got same thing. Okay. Area is equal to, what is my length? I've got 21 centimeters. And what is my breadth? I've got 19 centimeters. Remember, the formula is length times scale times breadth times scale. This time now, I want my answer to be in square kilometers. Here I'm calculating the area of the outline of the orthophoto map, which means the area around this orthophoto map. I'll measure this as my length. I'm going to measure this as well, the shorter side as my breadth. So I've got 21 centimeters. I'll multiply by 0.5 kilometers because my answer is supposed to be in square kilometers. Then I'll multiply by 19 centimeters multiplied by 0.5 kilometers. My answer is supposed to be in square kilometers. What is my 21 centimeters by 0.5? So I'll do the multiplication. 21 multiplied by 0.5. What is the answer? Is 10.5. Yeah, I'll have 10.5 kilometers. Then what is my 19 times 0.5? 19 multiplied by 0.5. What is my answer there? I'll get 9.5. I'll get 9.5. Remember, all these two are in kilometers. So now, in order for me to get my final answer area, I will multiply 10.5. 10.5 multiplied by 9.5. What is my answer there? It's 99.75, and here is in square kilometers. That will be my answer, in square kilometers. So, boys and girls, for today, we have only covered the type of maps that we have explained in detail. We also talked about the map conversion. I'll just try to sum it up so that at least you have an idea of what we have exactly covered. So the first thing that we did is, when you're looking at your map, you should be in a position to know which map is topographical and which one is orthophoto. This is your topographical map, usually is in color. This is your orthophoto map, usually is in black and white. Okay, so for your topographical map, you can see the scale at the top there. The top right corner is 1 centimeter on the map, represent 50,000 centimeters. Then you can also see on your orthophoto map, it's 1 centimeter on the map, represent 10,000 centimeters on the actual ground. You can also